Ladies and gentlemen, when your heart is broken, the natural instinct might be to retaliate or to somehow balance the scales of emotional pain. But that instinct, rooted in anger and hurt, is not only unproductive but also harmful to your own integrity. The idea of breaking her ego, when she breaks your heart, should not be interpreted as a call for vengeance or malice. Rather, it is a call to reclaim your dignity and restore your self-respect through self-improvement and personal growth. When someone you love leaves you or betrays your trust, it can feel like your world has shattered. It's as though your value as a person has been fundamentally questioned or diminished. This pain can prompt an urge to strike back, to cause similar hurt in an attempt to feel a sense of justice. However, true strength does not lie in matching suffering with suffering. Instead, it lies in the ability to channel that pain into something that reestablishes your sense of worth without diminishing your character. Imagine for a moment that yourself, worth is like a fortress, and heartbreak is a force trying to tear down your walls. If you respond by launching an attack, you abandon your post, leaving your defenses even weaker than before. Instead, you should focus on reinforcing that fortress, making it so resilient and self-sufficient that no external force can bring it down again. Breaking her ego, in this sense, is not about directly confronting or degrading her. It's about demonstrating that your life does not collapse in her absence. This requires shifting your mindset from one that seeks validation from others to one that is rooted in self-affirmation. When your heart is broken, it is vital to resist the temptation to prove your worth by diminishing hers. That path only leads to bitterness and a cycle of negativity. Instead, prove your worth to yourself by investing in your own development. Engage in activities that challenge you intellectually, physically, and emotionally. Set goals that inspire you and work relentlessly to achieve them. Through this process, you not only rebuild your sense of purpose, but also demonstrate to yourself that your identity is not defined by someone else's acceptance. Furthermore, focus on your principles and values. It's easy to compromise your character when you feel wronged. You may feel justified in spreading rumors, harboring resentment, or trying to undermine her social standing. Yet, these actions ultimately erode your integrity. True strength is maintaining your moral standards even when you feel betrayed. When you choose to act with dignity and purpose, you shatter the illusion that her departure has stripped you of your value. You are essentially saying, your rejection does not dictate my worth, nor will it make me compromise who I am. Another crucial aspect of reclaiming your dignity is refusing to obsess over the past. Dwelling on what went wrong or endlessly dissecting her motives only traps you in a loop of emotional pain. Instead, practice acceptance. Accept that some relationships end, not because of a lack of effort or affection, but because of differing paths or priorities. Once you accept this reality, you can begin to let go of the need to prove anything to anyone other than yourself. One of the most powerful ways to break the ego of someone who hurt you is by thriving despite the pain they caused. Your success, happiness, and resilience will speak louder than any vengeful act ever could. It is a quiet, dignified resistance, the kind that shows you have not been defeated, but rather you have adapted and evolved. It sends a message that your happiness is self-generated and not contingent on one person's approval or love. Understand that people who break hearts often expect devastation. They expect you to crumble, to lash out, or to obsess. By refusing to conform to that expectation, you break the very ego that might have fueled the initial hurt. You demonstrate that your sense of self is unshakable. It is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of profound self-respect. Finally, recognize that self-respect is not just about how you present yourself to others, but how you perceive yourself in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. Can you look at yourself in the mirror and feel proud of your response to hardship? Did you choose to build rather than destroy? Did you commit to growth rather than resentment? If the answer is yes, then you have broken the power that the heartbreak held over you. When she breaks your heart, break the narrative that you are diminished or defined by that loss. Reclaim your story, not by attacking hers, but by writing a new chapter for yourself, one that reflects strength, dignity, and unwavering self-worth. In doing so, you not only overcome the heartbreak, but also rise above it, transformed and resilient. When heartbreak strikes, it feels as if your entire emotional world has been dismantled. The pain can be overwhelming, blurring your sense of direction and purpose. In such moments, it's natural to feel lost, hurt, and even angry. But it's essential to remember that pain, while intense, is also profoundly transformative when harnessed correctly. Rather than succumbing to despair or bitterness, consider heartbreak as a powerful catalyst for personal growth. The key lies not in denying the pain, but in consciously channeling it into progress and self-betterment. Pain is a deeply human experience. It's raw and unfiltered, and it can feel unmanageable at times. However, within that turmoil lies an opportunity, a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Often, we view pain as an obstacle, something to be avoided or suppressed, but avoiding it only prolongs suffering. Instead, acknowledge the hurt and allow yourself to feel it fully. This is the first step toward transforming pain into progress. Understanding your emotions is essential because it builds emotional intelligence, allowing you to process feelings without being consumed by them. Once you have acknowledged your emotions, it's crucial to examine them without judgment. Ask yourself why you feel so devastated. Is it the loss itself or the sudden void left behind? Perhaps it's the perceived failure or the fear of facing life without that relationship. By dissecting your emotions, you gain clarity on what truly hurts. It might not just be the person, but the expectations that you had built around them. This insight allows you to recognize patterns, how you attached your happiness to someone else's presence. Such awareness is empowering because it reveals areas where you can grow independently. Now that you have gained perspective, it's time to redirect that emotional energy. Heartbreak releases an immense surge of feelings, anger, sadness, confusion. Instead of letting these emotions spiral into destructive behavior, use them constructively. Physical activities, such as running, weightlifting, or engaging in a new sport, not only serve as healthy outlets, but also symbolize your determination to rebuild yourself. Physical exertion mirrors emotional exertion. As your body strengthens, so does your mind. Exercise helps release endorphins, counteracting the depressive effects of heartbreak, and demonstrates to yourself that you are capable of pushing through hardship. Beyond physical activity, channeling your emotions into creative pursuits can be remarkably therapeutic. Write down your thoughts, compose music, paint, or embark on a personal project you've long neglected. Creativity allows for the externalization of internal chaos. Rather than suppressing what you feel, you give it form and expression. This process not only alleviates the emotional burden, but also leaves you with something tangible, a piece of art, a written reflection, a completed project that signifies your ability to create even amidst turmoil. Another essential aspect of channeling pain into progress is investing in your self-education. Heartbreak often leaves you questioning your identity and your path. Use this as an opportunity to explore new skills or deepen your knowledge in areas you've always found intriguing. Enroll in a course, learn a language, or immerse yourself in literature that challenges your perspective. Engaging your mind with something new not only distracts from immediate pain, but also fosters a sense of accomplishment. Knowledge builds confidence and serves as a reminder that your life, aspirations, and intellect extend far beyond one relationship. It's also crucial to build a routine that promotes discipline and structure. Heartbreak often disrupts daily life, leading to disarray and lack of motivation. Establish a routine that prioritizes self-care, whether it's through morning exercise, regular meals, or designated study time. Discipline helps anchor your mind when emotions threaten to overwhelm you. Each small achievement, a completed workout, a well-cooked meal, a productive day at work, enforces your capability to thrive independently. Social connections, too, play a vital role in processing heartbreak. While isolation may seem comforting initially, it ultimately breeds stagnation. Reach out to friends or family, not necessarily to vent, but to reconnect with the people who value you for who you are. Healthy social interactions remind you that love exists beyond romantic relationships and that you are cherished in many other dimensions of your life. Surrounding yourself with supportive individuals reinforces your sense of belonging and stability. Moreover, embracing new social environments can be transformative. Attend community events, join hobby groups, or volunteer. Stepping outside your comfort zone introduces you to diverse perspectives and new friendships. It broadens your understanding of human connections, proving that your world did not end with a single heartbreak. Building new bonds can help restore your confidence and remind you that life continues to offer possibilities and connections beyond past attachments. Finally, remember that self-reflection is an ongoing process. As time passes, revisit your journey from heartbreak to healing. Reflect on how far you've come and the progress you've made. Recognize that growth is rarely linear. There will be setbacks, but every step forward counts. Celebrate the resilience you've developed and acknowledge the person you are becoming. Self-respect is nurtured through this continuous effort to rebuild and strengthen yourself. By consciously choosing to channel pain into self-betterment rather than succumbing to despair, you reclaim control over your life narrative. Your heartache becomes a chapter of transformation rather than defeat. This mindset does not just break the hold that heartbreak has over you, it redefines you as someone capable of enduring hardship and emerging stronger. In the end, your greatest triumph is not just overcoming pain but evolving because of it. When someone breaks your heart, it's easy to feel powerless, as though your value has been dictated by their rejection or indifference. This is where the concept of breaking the illusion of power comes into play. Often, we unconsciously grant others the authority to define our worth. When someone we care about chooses to leave or hurt us, it's as if they've declared, "You are not enough." And we, in our vulnerable state, sometimes accept that verdict. However, this perception is fundamentally flawed. It is crucial to recognize that their decision does not genuinely reflect your inherent value. Instead, it reflects their perspective, which is often shaped by their own emotions, insecurities, and circumstances. The first step in breaking this illusion is to critically examine how and why you handed over that power in the first place. Love can sometimes make us elevate someone to a pedestal where their opinions and actions shape our self-image. This tendency stems from our natural desire for validation and acceptance. We believe that being chosen or loved by someone means we are worthy, and if they withdraw that affection, it implies the opposite. But this belief is rooted in dependency rather than mutual respect. To break this cycle, you must first acknowledge that while their presence might have enriched your life, it never defined it. Your worth did not increase when they loved you, and it did not decrease when they left. One way to challenge this illusion is by reflecting on your core identity and values. Who are you beyond this relationship? What qualities do you possess that are independent of their perception? Write down your strengths, accomplishments, and the attributes that make you uniquely you. Doing this exercise helps to reaffirm that your identity is multifaceted and not solely defined by someone else's acceptance or rejection. When you root your self-worth in your own understanding rather than someone else's judgment, you begin to dismantle the false power they held over you. Another significant aspect of breaking the illusion of power is understanding the role of projection. Often, when people hurt others, it has less to do with the person they are hurting and more to do with their own unresolved issues or insecurities. Sometimes, people leave because they fear commitment, feel overwhelmed, or are dealing with personal battles that have nothing to do with you. Recognizing this prevents you from internalizing their actions as a reflection of your flaws. You cannot control how others perceive or treat you, but you can control how much weight you give to their opinions. When you realize that their actions may stem from their own vulnerabilities, it becomes clear that their choices do not accurately measure your value. An effective way to reinforce this understanding is to actively work on redefining your narrative. If you continue to see yourself through the lens of someone who was left or betrayed, you will remain tethered to that pain. Instead, see yourself as someone who is resilient enough to move forward despite the hurt. This mindset does not ignore the reality of heartbreak, but places it within the broader context of personal growth. By taking ownership of your story, you ensure that the past does not dominate your present or dictate your future. Engaging in self-empowering activities can also help break the illusion of power. Pursue goals that challenge you, whether they are professional achievements, creative projects, or personal milestones. Each small victory reinforces the truth that you are capable and competent on your own. This sense of accomplishment becomes an internal source of validation, reducing your reliance on external approval. When you consistently build yourself up, you naturally diminish the influence that past rejection holds over you. In addition to personal achievements, surround yourself with individuals who genuinely appreciate your worth. Friends and family who support and uplift you can serve as a powerful counterbalance to the negative self-perception that heartbreak may trigger. By engaging with people who respect you for who you are, you start to see yourself through a more balanced and affirming lens. This community becomes a reminder that your value is recognized, regardless of one person's decision to walk away. It is also essential to understand that breaking the illusion of power does not mean dismissing your feelings or pretending that the hurt does not exist. Acknowledge your emotions, but do not let them define your reality. Allow yourself to grieve the loss, but simultaneously commit to reclaiming your narrative. Sometimes confronting the pain head-on instead of avoiding it is a form of strength in itself. As you process your feelings honestly, you gradually loosen the grip that the heartbreak has on your sense of self. Perhaps most importantly, breaking the illusion of power means taking responsibility for your emotional well-being. You are not at fault for someone else's choices, but you are responsible for how you choose to respond to them. Decide that you will not let one chapter overshadow your entire story. Make the conscious effort to focus on your future rather than constantly revisiting the past. Set new goals, nurture your passions, and remind yourself that moving forward is not about forgetting, but about evolving. Ultimately, breaking the illusion of power is an act of reclaiming your autonomy. It's about realizing that no one, regardless of how much you loved them, has the right to dictate your worth. Their actions may have hurt you, but they do not define you. By shifting your perspective, embracing your own strengths, and pursuing personal growth, you dismantle the false power you once attributed to them. You break not only the illusion, but also the cycle of dependency that kept you tied to that pain. In doing so, you become resilient, self-assured, and, most importantly, free. When someone breaks your heart, it's natural to feel overwhelmed with emotions like sadness, anger, and confusion. These feelings can easily pull you into a state of victimhood, where you see yourself primarily as the one who was hurt or betrayed. While it's crucial to acknowledge your pain and allow yourself to grieve, it's equally important not to remain stuck in that mindset. Rising above victimhood does not mean dismissing your feelings or pretending the hurt didn't happen. Instead, it means reclaiming your sense of agency and focusing on growth rather than blame. Victimhood can be surprisingly comforting because it often absolves you from taking responsibility for your own happiness. When you're hurt, it's tempting to keep pointing fingers and to dwell on how unfairly you were treated. Yet, staying in that mindset traps you in a cycle where the pain controls you rather than you controlling it. To break free, the first step is to recognize that, while you cannot change how others behave, you have complete authority over how you respond to their actions. This realization shifts your focus from what was done to you to what you can do for yourself moving forward. One way to start overcoming victimhood is by actively reframing your narrative. Instead of constantly replaying memories of how you were wronged, focus on how you are choosing to move on. This mental shift does not mean erasing the past or denying your feelings. It simply means prioritizing your healing and deciding that your story will not end with the pain. Begin by acknowledging that while the hurt is real, it does not define your entire existence. This reframing allows you to see the heartbreak not just as an end, but as an opportunity to rebuild stronger. Taking responsibility for your well-being is a powerful step toward leaving victimhood behind. It's essential to ask yourself tough, honest questions. Am I allowing this heartbreak to dictate how I view myself? Am I waiting for an apology or validation that may never come? Am I holding on to bitterness as a way to feel justified? Answering these questions truthfully might reveal that, to some extent, you've been allowing the pain to control your life. Understanding this gives you the clarity to choose a different path, one where you actively work toward healing rather than passively suffering. One of the most practical ways to escape the victim mind is by setting goals that focus on self-improvement. Often, heartbreak can make you feel directionless or unmotivated. Combat this by creating a list of things you've always wanted to do but perhaps put off while you were in the relationship. Whether it's learning a new skill, advancing in your career, or simply taking better care of your physical and mental health, each goal represents a commitment to yourself. Pursuing these objectives not only distracts you from your pain, but also gives you a sense of purpose and progress. Furthermore, adopting a mindset of gratitude, even in difficult times, can significantly shift your perspective. It might seem counterintuitive to think of gratitude when you are hurt, but it's an exercise in reclaiming your emotional balance. Focus on the aspects of your life that are still positive, friendships that support you, hobbies that bring you joy, and personal strengths that have helped you endure challenges before. Gratitude does not erase the pain but places it in a broader context, reminding you that life, despite its difficulties, still holds many valuable elements. Another vital component of rising above victimhood is letting go of the need for revenge or validation from the person who hurt you. Seeking revenge might feel temporarily satisfying, but it keeps you emotionally tied to the situation. Likewise, waiting for validation or an apology keeps you trapped in the past. True freedom comes from deciding that your peace of mind does not hinge on their acknowledgement of your pain. Instead, focus on personal growth, not to prove anything to them, but to strengthen your own sense of self. Building emotional resilience is another key part of overcoming victimhood. This means learning how to process your emotions without letting them dictate your behavior. Practices like journaling, meditation, or even talking to a therapist can help you explore your feelings in a structured way, allowing you to express your pain without letting it consume you. Emotional resilience does not mean ignoring your hurt. Rather, it means building the capacity to move through it thoughtfully and purposefully. It's also important to challenge the negative beliefs that often arise after heartbreak. Sometimes, the end of a relationship can lead you to believe that you are unworthy of love or destined to be hurt again. Such beliefs, while understandable in the wake of pain, are not accurate reflections of reality. Challenge them by reminding yourself of your positive qualities and the healthy relationships you have with others. Affirmations and self-compassion exercises can gradually shift your internal dialogue from self-blame to self-acceptance. Surround yourself with positive influences. When you're processing heartbreak, the company you keep can make a significant difference. Seek out friends who encourage you to move forward rather than those who fuel your resentment or validate your victim mentality. Conversations that focus on growth, healing, and new possibilities are far more beneficial than those that dwell on the hurt. Positive social interactions help restore your sense of belonging and remind you that you are valued beyond the context of a broken relationship. Lastly, take pride in the small victories as you move forward. Healing is not a straight path, and setbacks are natural. Celebrate your progress, no matter how incremental it may seem. Each day that you choose to focus on yourself rather than the person who hurt you is a step toward reclaiming your identity and happiness. Recognize that resilience is built one decision at a time, and every choice to prioritize your well-being is a victory over victimhood. By rising above victimhood, you demonstrate that your life story is not dictated by someone else's actions. You acknowledge the pain without allowing it to become your defining trait. Instead of being stuck in the narrative of betrayal, you embrace the narrative of resilience, growth, and personal empowerment. In doing so, you reclaim your autonomy and ensure that your future is shaped by your choices, not by the hurt inflicted by others.